Welcome to today's class. I'm excited to be hosting this class. After so long, we had hosted a class like this pre-COVID, where it was broken down into a couple of modules that did the same thing, which was to provide guidance and support to nonprofit leaders who are interested in building structure, getting the strategy, and ensuring that they stay sustainable over a long period and attract funding as well, which is the reason why most nonprofits actually really get burned out, just trying to do great work. Again, my name is Isioma Success-Olugbenga, and I'm happy to have you on this webinar, or do I call it a monthly class, starting today. It's a relaunch, some sort of relaunch by Sorike Consulting, which I founded a couple of years ago, and now supported by Made for Impact, which is also a strategic driver for our social impact activities within the Sorid Care Limited Group. And so we're here today to share knowledge. I believe that we have a lot of people within this network and would even join us who already are doing amazing work, who already, have been on this journey for whatever time it has been. Some have been longer, some have been, just a couple of years, and some are still ideating their ideas and just trying to find what works, find what they can do to leave a legacy in humanity about everything that they desire to do in life. So some people just really want to leave a legacy of good around for people, right? They don't want to live for themselves, and I know we have such people within this network. Again, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Isioma Success-Olugbenga. Many years ago, I stumbled on what now is called the not-for-profit and social impact work. I was a young accountant, just newly graduated from school. I was battling with the fact that, okay, I'd read a course, or I'd opted to read a course that I quite didn't think that I was made for, but I had to tag along and just continue to do it. And somewhere along the line, I think that by some divine providence, God brought me across a not-for-profit that was doing an amazing work at the time. And I was super interested. I feel, I had like an aha moment. I felt like this was what my life was about. I knew that in that moment that this was the answer that I was seeking as a human being, as a person. This, whatever this nonprofit space looked like, I think that I would love to work here. I would love to interact with humans. I would love to solve problems for humans, and real time dealing and interacting with people instead of what I used to do with the books, and with the records and the reporting in the accounting profession. And that started my journey over the last 20 years in the not-for-profit sector. And over that time, I'd both worked with community non-for-profits that are focused on, human needs and all of that. And I've also worked with a certain type of not-for-profit that also does some sort of donor funding, right? So working within that scope, or that's what do you call it now? You call it uh the pipeline of whether they be not-for-profit that are receiving support, or not-for-profit that are giving support to community non-for-profit, smaller non-for-profit, so they can do amazing work. Whatever that is, one thing was sure, that I always really wanted to help not-for-profit leaders to see the value that they bring to the table, and to leverage that value for an exchange. It was always a thing for me. I believed that not-for-profit leaders were doing an amazing work. I believed, contrary to what a lot of people think, that not-for-profit leaders have something to give. I believe that even though it did not seem tangible what the exchange was, I knew that there was an exchange, and I knew that that exchange could be monetized, and that exchange was value enough to be presented to anyone that was interested in partnering or becoming a part of that great work. And that started, my ideation about something that I later found was in existence. I started to look out for the marketing of nonprofit. How can nonprofit market themselves? Because in the for-profit world, there was a marketing department in an organization. So within the nonprofit industry, I started to think, what would a marketing department look like? What would it look like to set up a marketing department within a not-for-profit? What will it sound like? What would you be doing within the marketing department of a not-for-profit? And actually, I started one in one of the foremost not-for-profit that I worked for. I actually started a marketing department for that not-for-profit. And I was able to create values, create products that we began to literally find as a value adding tool to the organization. And over the years, it served that organization for a long time. Thereafter, like I said, I pivoted to the side where there was much donor funding, and there was much donor funding to be given. And, I started to see that, even though there was donor funding now, there were many not-for-profit that were not qualified because of certain things. I started to notice that not-for-profits were really, they wanted money, they needed money for the work, but they were not prepared. A lot of not-for-profit were not prepared. They were not prepared for the funding that was available. And, they could really have the passion, they could really have the desire to make a change, but they did not have, the structure that they required and the strategy that they required to actually gain what they required to gain as people doing amazing work, and gaining the support of well-meaning individuals, well-meaning organizations, value-aligned organizations that wanted to support them. This actually started my quest to actually build an organization that I later called Soricare Consulting. The intent of Soricare Consulting from day one was to help not-for-profit leaders and help not-for-profit organizations build structure, strategy, and sustainability in the work that they do. My desire really is that I want to see many, 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 many not-for-profit organizations that are doing great and fantastic work get the donor funding that they require to even scale their work beyond what they can ask or even imagine it to be. That is the desire. I want to be able to handhold many non-for-profit founders and leaders to be able to cross that place of, just scratching the surface with the work that they do, with the impacts that they make, to actually scaling it to do extraordinary things. That is the vision for Soricare Consulting. And over the last 7+ years, we have helped organizations, we have helped leaders, we have helped founders to build structure within their system. We have helped them to build strategies. We have helped them to attract donor funding that has sustained the work that they do. In this class today, 3 things stand out for me, or 3 things I hope that you would receive, as learning, is that you and your team will be able to build the right strategy, you'll be able to build the right structure, and you'll be able to sustainably carry your work to the next level. My desire is to see your not-for-profit fly beyond every limiting, anything that you ever thought you could actually achieve as a not-for-profit. To see you sit on the negotiation table with donors and be able to bring and come across true to them with the value that you're offering them, so that in exchange, they can open up their funding portfolio to you and help you achieve and do more with what you're already doing. At the end of this class, I would want as many leaders that will listen to this class and pay attention to be able to jump in quickly to all of the offers that we have to make for you to grow and to take your work to the next level. The free class is actually enough. I tell you, if you pay attention, if you take in all that you're to learn, you will do a lot better with your work. However, if you desire to have the one-on-one class, then please wait to the end of this session and you would get to know exactly how you can do that. We'll right on into the class very quickly, and I'll share my slide with you in a moment. Okay, so just to rehash what I had started with, today's teaching is on strategy, structure, and sustainability for not-for-profits, how to attract, position, win donor funding in the post-COVID era. There was the challenge of winning donor funding in the pre-COVID era. Nonprofit have always tried to win donor funding, but subsequently after COVID, there's been more competition to winning donor funding. And it's important that nonprofits do not stay behind the bar, not understanding how to position themselves in the post-COVID era. Sorry, did I say area? I said era here. So yes, this program or this training is for early stage and growth stage founders of nonprofits ready to scale their impact. And then it's also for impact-driven visionaries, people that are ready to, building impactful projects and programs across, whether it be their for-profit organizations, because you have for-profit organizations really interested in building impactful projects and programs, and also individuals that are willing and ready to build impactful projects and programs. And also this training would position professionals, if you're an early stage professionals within the non-for-profit sector, this is an amazing training to set you on the right path on your career and also help you to gain mastery in the areas that you would desire to gain mastery in the not-for-profit sector. So you're welcome. The post-COVID reality for nonprofit is that you have a lot of donor selectivity, Donors are more discerning than ever. They do not want to throw their monies to whatever, just anything. They want to make sure that they are doing the right good work that they want to do, right? Donors are even much more building internal structures to accommodate how they give and to whom they give, right? So you cannot just come to a donor organization without having structure, without even researching them ahead of time, and think that it's going to be easy for them to just dole out donor funding to you. Again, I talked about before now, there was competition, but after the post-COVID era, reality for many nonprofits is that the competition has doubled. In fact, I think it has tripled, right? So there is so much, so many organizations that started post-COVID, and they are, all of these people are trying to attract the same set of donors, or the donor funding have not even gone, is not much more than you had before, but you have many more people trying to have or compete for that same funding. Right. So we even in the post-COVID era, there is a requirement for higher measurable results. So people want to begin to, organization donors and donor funding donors and organizations that fund nonprofits, they want to see that whatever you're doing, you can measure your results. They want to see how transparent your impact looks. They want to see how much you're doing, and without having to ask you, meaning that you need to have more and more digital footprints. And that's something that they want to be able to see even before they throw their money or bring in their money to fund you. And then you have the digital standards. You have remote collaboration, digital reporting is now the standard. You cannot, as a not-for-profit, have a digital footprint. You cannot not have a digital footprint, right? You cannot not have collaborations with people in your space, people that are doing things around you, are collaborative things, even supporting what you are doing. You need to begin to collaborate. Donors want to see that you are collaborating with credible brands. They want to see that you're not a solo, not-for-profit, just doing your own thing, right? So we need to begin to understand how to strategically move as not-for-profits, going to partner with the right set of people and collaborate to achieve our outcomes. So again, like I said, I've talked about today's agenda, which is strategy. How do you position for donor interest? And structure. How do you build systems that foster donor trust? This is a big deal. Many non-for-profit leaders that I speak to tell me that they have integrity. Oh, we do honest work. We're doing a good work. We have passion for what we are doing. I hear it and I agree with you. But that is not enough. We need verifiable proof. We need to see the proof of your concept. We need to see the proof of what you're doing. We need to see financial records. These are, and many more, are things that donor organizations are looking out for, right? We need to see how credible you are by the way that you keep your books, not by what you tell us. Right. And then thirdly, sustainability. We need to turn your project into long-term impact, not just doing one project here and just scattering your projects everywhere. We want to see sustained impact in certain project areas, sustained impact in certain places where you decide to have your footprints, right? So that means that your projects need to be well thought of. Your projects cannot just be an ideation over the night, and then you come and you want to execute, and your projects just be little bits of ideations all around. No, it has to be focused. It has to be working towards a goal of, that is long term and that is able to become impactful for the community or the society as you that you operate within. And then, you will have time to ask questions, and then I'll give my bonus offer afterwards. Okay, so let's go right into the meat of the day, where we are having understanding strategy in the nonprofit work. What does it mean? I've been talking strategy, strategy, strategy. What does strategy mean? What does it mean to understand or to work with, to have some sort of strategy with your work, your nonprofit work? Number one, it means that your why is crystal clear. It means that your why is crystal clear, that you are not confused about why you are doing what you're doing. Your donors do not form confusion. So they want to be sure that as an organization, you do not, like I said, you don't wake up one morning, today you are doing climate change, and then tomorrow you're doing food security. I'm not saying those things you can't pivot. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that within the structure of what you're doing, we need to see a consistent and crystal clear stream of work that tells us that you're not confused. You understand what your work is about, you understand what the goal is about, and you are aligned with your why. The next thing is to seek alignment. Defining your target community. What is my target community? What is my target community? Which community do I want to serve? Which community do I want to serve? I oftentimes speak to my clients and I advise my clients to ensure that the communities they want to serve is focused. You can serve multiple communities, but it's important that you are able to, over time, pick a target community to start with, pick a pilot target community to start with, and build your impact within that community over time, so that you are not spread too thin. Your organization mission and outcomes are not spread too thin. So it's important to align, to find alignment by defining your target community. Again, thirdly, in strategy, you need to be intentional. You need to have an intentional action. Articulate your unique value. What are you bringing? What are you offering? Almost like in business, what they call your unique selling proposition. Here, what is your unique impact proposition? What is your unique impact value? What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing for people to be a part of, or for people to have as value for for the work that you do? What is that value that you can show to a donor as your real value that you're bringing to the community that you're serving? Understanding these things will bring you to a point of real strategy and knowing exactly how you can build up your not-for-profit. The next thing we're going to look at is strategy, is to look at the 3 not-for-profit strategy pillars. What are those pillars? What are the 3 not-for-profit strategy pillars? Number 1 is, what solutions are you proposing? What solutions are you proposing? Remember that in the first place, we talked about your why. Your why. In talking about your why, we need to be able to know what solution are you proposing. I'll give an example. If your why is that I want to see minority, I want to see okay, so maybe you want to, okay, your why is you do not want children to be malnourished. You do not want to have malnourished children. You want to reduce, the number of malnourished children in Makoko community. I'm giving an hypothetic why. You want to reduce the number of malnourished children in Makoko community. Now, what would be your proposed solution? Your proposed solution to that problem. How do you want to solve the problem of malnourishment in Makoko community? This is your pillar one. This is your pillar one. So in thinking about the problem of malnutrition in Makoko community, because you have also defined your targets, you've defined that your targets are children, you've defined the community where your target is, because you have children all across Lagos. Children all across Lagos are not your target. The children in Makoko community are your target. And not all children in Makoko community are your target. The malnourished children in Makoko community are your targets. So understanding that stands you out as a not-for-profit, so that you are overcoming the generalistic not-for-profit trap. You know, the way they say, NGO, all of them, NGO. No, you want to distinguish yourself. You want to distinguish yourself. Yes, I'm an NGO, but I know what I am doing. I am a not-for-profit that understands what my pillars are. I know why I'm here. I know what the problems I am solving look like. And I understand my targets. Again, the second pillar talks about your target beneficiaries. Who are your target beneficiaries? Who exactly do you want to serve? And I just talked about that briefly. You want to serve children in Makoko community. You want to serve malnourished children in Makoko community. Those are your targets. Those are your targets. And what does strategy do for you? Strategy gives you a bull's-eye focus. It gives you a bull-eye focus so that you are not hitting all over the place. You are not jumping here and there. You are focused on what your mission is. You are focused on what your assignment is. And the third one is problem definition. What exact problem do you want to solve? What exact problem do you want to solve? In outlining that why, you see that we have been able to define that our exact problem to solve in Makoko community is the problem of malnourishment. Malnourishment. Why is there a malnourishment problem? What started out that problem? Why do we have that as a problem in Makoko community? And how are we going to solve that problem? Right? So understanding these things helps you position properly as a not-for-profit organization. Now, the next thing you need to do as a strategy is to find donor alignments. Now, what does it mean to find donor alignments? Donor alignment is not begging, it's not luck. It's not wishing that someone will see you and like you and, ask you to come and, ask you to send your account so that they can support you because they feel pity for you for the work that you do. That's not what strategy is about. That's not what donor alignment is. Donor alignment is strategy. What does it mean? It means to research before your outreach. Who are the potential donors that can work with me on this project? Which people have the capacity to offer what I require for this project? And then number two, understand your donor priorities. Because if you go cap in hand, telling your donors that, okay, I'm doing this amazing work, I need you to support me, your donors have priorities. You have priorities. If you do not understand your donors' priority before you approach them, you'll be hitting wrongly at your donors. Your donors may be available to support you. They may have the wherewithal, but they may not support you if you do not understand their priorities, if you do not speak towards their priorities. And then thirdly, you need to tailor your narrative to your donor's agenda, not yours. You cannot go to your donor after knowing their priorities and tailor your narrative towards your own agenda and not theirs. They don't care about you really. They care about their own agenda. So donor alignment strategy means that you are able to find how what you're doing aligns perfectly with your donors, how it aligns perfectly with your donor's agenda. Because until you find that, you cannot attract that donor that you seek. You cannot. Until you understand where your need and your donor's needs meets, you cannot actually get that donor on your side. No matter what grammar you speak, no matter what proposal you send, you will not be able to get that donor to work with you. Number two, we've talked about strategy, and I hope that with a few words of mine, I have been able to help you establish the requirements or the reason why strategy is the first thing you must sit with if you want to actually build an organization that would attract donor funding. Number two is structure. Why structure attracts funding? Why structure attracts funding? If your structure is weak, donors quietly walk away. They won't tell you that's the problem. They will just walk away. They would observe your structure for a bit and they will quietly walk away, because a weak structure tells the donor that you cannot hold what they want to give to you. Many donors start by giving you small amounts of money to start with. Sometimes if they have products that you need, they might not even give you money. They might give you the products, right? Because it's the lowest point of entry for them. And also it is a place where they can actually look away if anything goes wrong. So before a donor can release money to you, if they have the capacity to release money to you, they need to be sure that your structure is not weak, that your structure is strong enough. And so what do we mean by structure? We mean that there are different components of your structure. Number one is governance. What do we mean by governance structure? We're looking at your board. Who are the members of your board? Who are those in your board? Are they people that, are they people that have integrity? Are they people that we can look out or look for and know that, okay, these people, they know what they're doing, right? Can they vouch for your board members? Are your board members people of questionable character? It's important that you are able to assert that, so as much as I also tell nonprofits not to get big names, especially when they're starting out. Don't focus on getting busy big names into your board. Don't focus on getting those people into your board, but focus on younger, people that maybe are just coming up, but have values of integrity, and those people and are willing to work with you. They are willing to work with you, because we also do not want to have redundant board members, people that are not willing to work, people that are not willing to put in their best to ensure that the organization is properly served. So it's important that in selecting who your board is, you are very in tune with the fact that your board structure is a major structure that donors look at before they give you funding. The other one is your financial controls. How do you release money? Do you spend money from your own personal accounts? Do you spend money from your bank accounts? How do you spend money in your organization? How do you release money in your organization? The donor funds come into your personal accounts. What are those financial controls you have put in place to ensure that you separate your personal funds from your funds, your organizational funds? So it's important, and it's a clear thing that nonprofits shouldn't and never should have payments or things done within their own accounts, their personal account structures. Let your non-for-profit have a bank account, and let everything, your expense, be done from the bank account of your organization. Number 3 is compliance. Compliance. How do you keep compliance running in an organization that you lead? How do you keep that compliance? There are several compliance issues within even a not-for-profit organization. In setting up a not-for-profit, you have to have certain documentation. You have the EFCC, SCUMEL documentation. You have even, I think, a tax identity documentation, even though nonprofits do not pay tax, but the government expects that we withhold tax for those people that vendors that work with us, and we are able to remit withholding tax to the government. So there is a requirement for certain level of compliances within the structure of your not-for-profit. And then you have documentation. How do you document your activities? How do you document your projects? How do you document the impact that you're making? Whether you are making, you think that your impact is still small, whatever that impact is, you need to document properly. You need to document and keep records of payments, keep records of impact, keep records and keep reports of what you have done. Excuse me. It's also a requirement for reporting financials at the end of the year. So not-for-profit are also required by the law to have an account and report their activities yearly by their accounting processes. So as a not-for-profit, you are not immune to that reporting system and the compliance that you require to do to report those activities yearly, your financial activities yearly. There's also, I think, a report that you give to you submit at the Corporate Affairs Commission. For those that are in Nigeria, there is a Corporate Affairs, a CAC annual report that you should also submit alongside your financials yearly, and that's a compliance issue. That's something that you must do within your nonprofit to continue to be a nonprofit that complies and has a structure of compliance, right? And donors look out for these things from time to time to determine if you are a good fit for their support. Okay, so now we look at the structure, the nonprofit structure blueprints. Let's look at the nonprofit structure blueprint. What does it look like? I've talked a bit about some things. We've talked about a functional board, so even having a functional board is very important. You cannot just set up a board because they are important and people that, maybe they're just popular, or they are, influencers, you just put their names. No, you need to have a board that is functioning. You need to have a board that is functioning, that has clear roles, that has, clear responsibilities. Yes, the board that has clear roles and clear responsibilities, and also across the organizations, people, executives members, or whatever type of organization you're building. If it's a not-for-profit where you have a lot of volunteers, even the volunteers should have clear roles. You should have like an organogram that states the clear roles of each person in the organization, whether they be volunteers or not. Whatever their roles or designations look like, they should be known through the organogram, and that should not be unclear within the organizational structure. And then you have the SOPs. Why are SOPs important? Yes, SOPs are so important because those are, and what are SOPs? They are standard of operation, right? Those are documents that show how you do things in your organization. They show how you execute certain things, whether people are, whoever is there. So when someone goes and another person comes in, they are not in doubt how things are run. SOPs help you to ensure that your work has a sustenance over the years. So donors know that even though you may change, people may change positions, especially for organizations that have organizations that that run on volunteers. Organizations that run on volunteers, sometimes you have a lot of people come in and out. If you have an SOP, it helps your work. It does not make your, yes, obviously just having someone handling something before and another person handling it can ruffle a few things within the organization. However, with an SOP, people already know how things run. They have a clear direction of how to run certain things within the organizations and major projects, major programs within the organization. And now we'll talk about the M&E processes. An M&E process is a major organizational structure blueprint. You cannot just as a not-for-profit be doing so many amazing work and not document. You have to have a monitoring and evaluation process. How do you monitor what you're doing? How do you ensure that your work meets the standard of what you have set from the beginning? Remember, in the beginning, you had a why. There was something you needed to achieve. There was a goal you needed to achieve. Now, within the monitoring and evaluation processes, the questions you are asking, did we achieve this goal? We set out to feed children in Makoko community with nourishing food. Did we actually achieve that? Did we hit that target? What are the things we should have looked out for? Did we have parents? Were parents informed ahead of the program? Did they attend the program? And how many children attended? Out of the children that attended, how many were malnourished? How many have we been able to supply wholesome food to? Over the period of maybe 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, how are these children when we met them in 3 months ago, and how are they now that we are looking at this evaluation? It's important that there is a process, because the processes of your monitoring and evaluation helps you to actually tell a story of impact. Without a proper M&E process, you cannot tell your impact story correctly and accurately, right? So it's important that you have a process within your organization. For many organizations, they differ. However, for you as an organization, you need to sit and know exactly what your process looks like. And it will be based on the work that you do. What is my process as an organization? And how long do I have to monitor? How long? You may have short-term monitoring evaluation. You may have maybe after the project, a 2 weeks evaluation, a 3 months evaluation, a 6 months evaluation, a 1 year evaluation, whatever that is. And whatever you seek in all that process, it's important that you do not forget that this part of your work is essentially important. And then finally, where you have your accounting and transparency. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. If as a not-for-profit, you are not accountable, and by accountability, I mean, when I started before, the minimum requirement is that you have a bank account and that you pay your expense from your bank account. You cannot, as an organization, continue to do out-of-pocket expenses or petty cash expenses. You need to be able to pay from a bank account so that we can see and evaluate and transparently see the work that you're doing and the way that you spend and how you are executing your projects visibly by your bank accounts. Organizations that are interested in giving you in investing in your project on a with very huge amounts or sums of money, they ask you for your organization's financial accounts. Your organization's maybe audited statements over the last 3 years, audited statements over the last couple of years. You be able to bring or submit that to be seen as an organization that is credible, that is, and scale the work of impact that they do. Just so I acknowledge that I see someone coming, Abubakar Abdullahi, you're welcome. We'll take a pause and have you introduce yourself to us before we continue. Abdullahi Abubakar. Okay. Admin, please, could you check if are you muted? Can you speak? I think I'm asking you to unmute. I don't know if that is, if you're getting that request.
My name is Abubakar Abdullahi. I'm following you from Gombe State, the local government.
Okay, hi, Abubakar. Great to identify with you. Can you tell us the name of your organization?
My organization's name was Apicultural Development Network.
Okay, what do you do?
We are running beekeeping, setting up apiary, processing of honey and other bee products.
Okay, fantastic, Abdullahi. It's nice to have you. So is your organization a not-for-profit? Are you registered as a business or a non-profit organization?
The organization mainly registers for non-profit organization in order to coordinate and collectively organize the local beekeepers into a one umbrella.
Okay. So what if I hear you correctly, Abdullahi, you say that your organization is set up as a not-for-profit and it is coordinating in that locality some of the things that you're doing, right?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Thank you, Abdullahi, for joining the class.
Thank you too.
Okay. Okay, so before you join the class, I also see Rob. Rob, are you able to speak so you can introduce yourself? Please go ahead and introduce yourself, Rob, and tell us your organization and what you do. Okay, very well. So we'll wait until that is fixed and we'll take, you could just let us know that you're ready by raise of hand. Okay, so before you
Hello?
both join, okay, Rob, are you speaking?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Um, so I'm
So tell us the organization you represent and why you are in class.
well, I'm just looking to sort of start my own organization.
Okay, where are you joining us from, bro?
New Zealand.
Where?
New Zealand. Uh, New Zealand?
New Zealand?
Yes,
Okay, fantastic, Rob. Um, very, it's good to have you in class. Thank you for
thank you.
joining. When you joined, we were talking about a couple of things that bother through strategy of how to um, how to position your work as a nonprofit so that donors would be interested in the work. And just about now, we were rounding off by talking about the nonprofit structure blueprints, where you need to have a functional board, you need to have clear roles for everyone within the organization, even if they are volunteers. So it's not an excuse to say someone is a volunteer and that's why we don't have clear roles for them. No, even if they are volunteers, it's important that all people working within the organization have clear roles, have clear responsibilities, and are able to support clearly the mission towards why they are there in that organization. I also talked about the standard of operations, where you need to have documentation of activities that you go on within your organization, core activities, the things that you do on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, programs. You need to document, what do you do? How do we, and I gave an example of a feeding program of malnourished children. If you have that kind of project, what do you do 3 months to the program? What are the activities that need to be done? What do you do 1 month to the program? What do you do 2 weeks to the program? That is something you need to document so that even when people come into the organization and leave, they are able to have something, a documentation that they can always piggyback on, they can look at, it can guide them. Oh, they were not there when that project was done 2 years ago, but we have a document that shows us how that project was executed and what whoever is on that project right now should do to have success within that program. That is what it means to have a structure that allows SOPs and builds you a blueprint for success. And then I talked about the monitoring and evaluation processes, where it's important that you monitor the work that you do, you evaluate your work month by month, week by week, however you have decided. You probably want to do a 3 months check-in on what you're doing. How has the impact been since we did this project 3 months ago, since we did this project 6 months ago, since we executed this project 1 year ago? You need to be able to document what improvement, what impact your projects have made. And then accounting and transparency. And I said that it's important that you do not fund your not-for-profit from your personal accounts. You do not take money from your personal account. You need to have a minimum bank account where you can, a minimum organizational bank account where you can make your expenses from, where you can show transparency of your expenses, so that some donor organizations will ask you to submit 6 months financials. They might ask you for your bank statements in the last 6 months. They want to see how your organizational funding looks like, what you have been doing with your funding before they can support the work that you do. And then we move to the next thing. I hope that we are able to follow through what we are doing here. Okay, so the part 3 of our class today talks about sustainability and the nonprofit sustainability triangle. What does it mean? What does it mean to have your organization sustainable, your not-for-profit sustainable? Number 1 metrics we look at for sustainability within your not-for-profit is leadership sustainability. Leadership sustainability. How sustainable is your leadership? How sustainable is the leadership of your organization? Number 2 is your program sustainability. How sustainable is programs? Are your programs, do you just wake up in the morning and have a brainwave and decide, okay, I'm going to do this project? No. Or do you structure your programs in a way that year in, year out, you are able to achieve an outcome that is impactful in your community? What does that look like in terms of your programs and their sustainability? And then the third leg for your sustainability is your financial sustainability. How sustainable is your organization financially? How sustainable is your organization financially? Which is why I know that many of us joined this program. You want to get some sort of financial sustainability. But I just also want you to know that financial sustainability sometimes happen when leadership and program sustainabilities have been sorted. If you do not sort your leadership sustainability and your program sustainability, you will not attain the correct and the right financial sustainability as you seek. You may have some level of financing, but to sustain your financing, you need to have sustained programs. You need to have sustained leadership. So what donors look for in sustainability? What does, when a donor talks about sustainability, what are they looking for? What do they seek to, what do they want to have when they are talking to you about sustainability? What do they want to see? They want to see how long-term you are planning. Remember, and if you were in the beginning of the class, many of you were not, but at the beginning, I talked about your why. Your why. Long-term planning. You need to have a strategic foresight for lasting impact. What is my impact going to look like in 10 years from now? What do I want to have? What kind of community impact do I want to have on this certain community I'm serving? What sort of impact do I want to have? Donors want to see that you're thinking a long term. You are not in this work for if it happens well, if it goes well, I'm in it. If it doesn't go well, I pack my bags and I go away. They do not want an organization or a non-for-profit leader that doesn't have staying power. They want to know that you have staying power, that you are in this project for a long haul. That's the kind of thing that donors look for. They also want to know that you are empowering stakeholders within the community. So your projects are community, they have community ownership. You don't just go into a community and then just give them tips and just give them things and go away. No, that within those communities, you have leaders within the community, you have stakeholders within the community that supports the work that you do, that are involved with the work that you do. They want to see that. They want to see that your stakeholders in the locations that you work are in, they own the project. Because when you have localized stakeholders, then your project can actually be sustained. where we do not have local stakeholders that are taking ownership, we find that many projects, either the local people may mess it up, they may run it down. They don't feel like it's their own, and they don't look out for it. They don't look after those projects. Thirdly, we'll look at donors want to see internal funding. How are you able to have diverse revenue streams? How do you develop diverse revenue streams? And so many people think that donors like to know that you have other donors that are supporting you. So you cannot just sit with one donor and be just one donor person. No, you need to, as the founder of your organization, always looking out for multiple streams of income. You need to continually look out for multiple streams of funding. Only when donors know that you have multiple streams of funding do they feel at ease when they are supporting you. Because as much, it kind of is, it looks funny, but that's what donors look out for. So as much as they are funding you and they want your project to be sustainable, they also want you never to stop that project because they stop funding. They want to know that, that's why they want to know that you are in need for a long haul. They don't want you to stop funding that project just because they stopped funding you. Just because they stop funding you. They want to be a part of that project, and they want you to continue to work and be look out for other sources of income for that project. And then collaborative partnership, collaborative efforts that amplify your reach. Donors to know that you have strong partnerships, strong collaborative partnerships that amplify your reach, that make you seen most places. Donors want to be part of a strong partnering organization, organizations that have a bouquet of many partners, right? They want to know that helps them to feel like you're sustainable because you do not depend on one donor funding work. And then scalability, potential for broader influence. They want to see that your work with more support can do more. That if you were supporting malnutrition in Makoko community as your startup project, you can then do also malnutrition in 5 other communities around the Lagos area. They want to see that your work has an opportunity to scale with more funds, with more support. And that even though you started with one community today, they want to see that you can do multiple communities with more of their support. Okay. We've talked about the sustainability triangle where you have, I've talked about, mentioned it earlier, leadership sustainability, where you have strong adaptable leadership that ensures long-term vision and resilience. It's important where you do not have strong adaptable leadership ensuring long-term vision and resilience, the vision dies. The vision does not have capacity to stay through all of the thick and thin. And then program sustainability, where you have effective, impactful programs that meet community needs and evolve, right? So you started with malnutrition, but later you discovered that these malnourished children have other needs. So you start a project in a community But then that project then evolves into something bigger and something better that is wholesome and holistic for that community. They want to see that. They want to see that your projects are impactful, your programs meet the community needs and evolve through times and seasons for that community as you grow with them. And then lastly, financial sustainability. I've talked about it, where they want to see diverse funding sources and sound financial management that shows that you can be accountable and you can be stable and credible with the funds that they will give to you. So positioning for donor funding, how do you position in clear terms? What are the things you need to do as an organization to position for donor funding? Number one, you need to have a clear theory of change. You need to have a clear theory of change. What does it mean to have a clear theory of change? It means that you need to define your impact pathway. You need to define your impact pathway. Define what you want to do. Define how you want to do what you want to do. Define the problem that you want to tackle and how you would tackle that problem by the work that you will do. They want to see that clearly outlined. Number two, they want to see digital impact presence. How has your work been? Have you showcased your work before? You know, what things have you showcased about your work in the time past? What things have you showcased about your work in time past? They want to see that. They want to see that. They want to also see testimonials and stories, authentic beneficiary narratives. They want to see the beneficiaries themselves tell the stories of your impact. They want to see that. And then donors want to also see professional proposals. They want to see compelling templates for success, things that, you know, proposals that show them that you are, you know, you have a drive towards success in this impact work that you're doing. They also want to see proof of past results. They want to see evidence of successful outcomes of your project, not just what you have said, but evidences that show within the testimonials, evidences that show within proof of some of these things that has happened over the years. And then they want to see data. They want to be able to track and analyze your progress. You know, so if you are having data to show, right, you want to show how many children were fed, how many, you know, just show the data in the reports that you give to them. They want to be able to track that and have that to analyze the progress of the work that they do with you. So why do nonprofits, what are the common reasons why nonprofits don't get funding? What are the common reasons? Just as we talked about how to position, we'll talk about the common reasons why nonprofits don't get funding. Number one, they do not have clear strategy. You do not have defined goals and methods of how you do things. Number two, weak documentation. Nonprofits sometimes have insufficient records and reporting. You do not have the requisite records and the reporting that you require to keep within your organization over the years. And then no donor research culture. You do not identify suitable donors. You write cold letters to donors that have no interest in your organization. And that way you get no's and no's. And it looks like nobody wants to fund your work. However, the real problem becomes that you do not research ahead of sending those proposals to those organizations. Number four, poor storytelling, inability to convert your impact effectively. A lot of people think that, we're doing impact work, and a lot of spiritual people, I dare say, also think that they shouldn't speak about the work that they do. But on this journey of being as a nonprofit organization, you need to convey the stories of your impact effectively. However, this is a caveat to that. in ethical storytelling for impact. You do not tell stories of impact to shame beneficiaries. You do not tell stories of impact to portray beneficiaries as as beggarly and dehumanize them. No, you do not tell stories of impact and dehumanize the people that you're supporting. Never, never, never do that, right? That's a caveat to your storytelling. And that is something that nonprofit organizations should deter, we should never do, right, in trying to tell our stories. And the last one, inconsistent reporting, where you have irregular and incomplete updates to donors. You do not give regular updates to donors. You do not give complete updates to donors. That is something that donors do not appreciate and they do not value at all. Okay, so here at this point, we have our interactive session, which I will skip because we're not for this session having that going on right now. But you can actually just tell us what are your nonprofits biggest struggle? What are your struggles, your strategy struggles? What are your structure struggles? What are your sustainability struggles? And what donors do you want to attract? What type of donors do you want to attract? Do you want to, what would be the type of donor you want to attract next? Do you have a picture of who that donor is? Do you have a name? Do you know this donor? What do they do? Do they do things that are aligned with your organization? And then where are you feeling stuck? Where do you think you need help the most? You can drop that in the comment section, and we will be able to attend to that, in the next class. Okay. So there are several transformative stories that I can tell you over the years. We moved RWF from no structure to receiving vital and significant funding. PFF, a non-for-profit of over 14 years, scaled its impact through refined program planning. And then we have HFH Visionary using our guidance to secure new and significant donors. Importantly, in all of this story, one thing is sure, that we have organizations and nonprofit leaders recognize that they require support. They require to move from where they are to where they want to be. And that responsibility is how they rewrite their own success stories. It's how they rewrite their own success stories. And your success story may not necessarily be dramatic. It may just be a silent flow and redirection of how you do things to how you then do things to become that nonprofit that has clarity about its work and is working based on strategy, has a functional structure, and then can approach sustainability with a drive, because they know that their structure and their strategy is doing very well. So this is me inviting everyone and anyone to this to book all free one-on-one nonprofit growth and funding strategy call, where we are able to look at what you're doing and tailor some of these things we have talked about you as an organization. It's a strategy clarity call that helps you to define your nonprofit path and help you to find a roadmap that you can work with in the next 90 days. It'll be my pleasure, it'll be my delight to hold your hand through this strategy call into what I call the new phase for your nonprofit organization and your impact work. Over the next emails that we will drop some of these offers to you, and a contact that you can use to book the strategy call, where we can show you what's next and how you can navigate what's next. This call, like I always say, is for funders that are ready to grow, that are seeking expansion and greater impact. Enough of just doing regular work, enough of just just going and tagging along year in, year out. It is time to play the bigger game. It is time to go for greater impact. And I am here for it with you. I'm looking forward to seeing visionaries that want to build systems, committed to creating sustainable structures, and professionals that are eager to secure essential financial support for the work that they do. It's not for everyone. It's for those who want to take action from and after today. We have a couple of seats because I want to be able to reach people very individually. I do not want us to have too much at a time. So we'll be taking 20 free slots for the clarity call. And once the spots fill up, the link closes automatically. We would be sending the link as an email as well. And we hope that you will jump in quickly before the slots are filled up. And this brings me to the end of today's class, where I want to say thank you for being a part of my afternoon and being a part of this journey with me to hold the hands of nonprofit organizations to come to maximum impact and sustainability with the work that they do. This, for me, is bigger than just a business. It is a passion-driven work. It is actually my life work. And I'm hoping that you will be pleased to be a part of this work with me. I believe that, I would be able to hold your hand to the next phase of your nonprofit work. And together, we will see the success that is on the other side of your work. Thank you for having me. Please do not forget to drop questions and everything you would want me to talk about in the next class. And I will be looking at those and picking them to address in our next class. Thank you, and see you in the next class. Bye-bye.